What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys some more Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega, Chapter 199 review entitled To the Inside. Dun dun dun. Right before the big Chapter 200, they officially enter the inside. Ooh, spooky, spooky stuff. In all honesty, this chapter is a solid chapter. It's pretty good, but it's very straightforward. Not really a whole lot of action, of course, because it's a setup chapter. You know, we're entering the inside. We start this chapter off with the meeting that we left off with at the end of the last chapter, the big meeting between, Oma, Retsudo, Mikazuchi, etc., and Koga joining. Then everyone sort of going their separate ways and preparing as early as tomorrow. They're going to enter the inside tomorrow. They enter it, in fact, in this very chapter. So it's like, whoa, okay. So we're moving right along. We're already in the inside. So the big chapter 200 is going to be the infiltration crew or squad or whatever you want to call them, the rescue crew. They are in here, and the inside is looking pretty dark, looking pretty dangerous. Now, for the most part, as I said, that's the flow of the chapter. We get to see a couple familiar faces. We get to see Misaki, and he's looking. He's kind of like, okay, all right. Like, wait a minute now. What have you been up to, right? Like, Misaki has sort of stepped in to the role, I guess, of being, he's a rookie at his dad's company and that kind of idea, but he's worked his way up the corporate ladder with the name alone and stuff. He mentions this and says, well, what can you do? I'd like to start at the bottom, but I'm still got a lot to learn and stuff. Seemingly very normal, but as we know, he is very far from normal. Seems to give willing to give Koga all the intel that the Toyo power company has on the inside. He remarks that these surveys and any of this information is, of course, at least 2 years old, 24 months old. So how much help it's going to be where the inside is like a constantly changing organism, a living thing in that regard. And we've got that information from previous chapters that the inside is sort of almost alive in its own way. So it's going to be very difficult to use any of this information, but he still pulled it up for him and gave him whatever he had. As I said, this chapter is pretty straightforward for the most part in that regard. We get to see the crew. I was just sort of thinking when they enter the inside, we get this beautiful shot. It's a really nice shot. I'm going to try to use it for the thumbnail if I can fit it. It's just, all I could think of was that really cheesy song, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town sort of idea. Just that cheesy ass line. I mean, it's a good song, really good song. I guess it's not a cheesy song, it just sounds cheesy in this day and age, but you got Oma, Koga, Retsudo, Himura, and Mikazuchi Rei all there, like, just walking down the street in this full panel, like, alright, yeah, we're heading into hell on earth, but we're doing it with style. Alright. So, looking pretty solid there. Now, they do enter the inside. The inside sort of looks like, I'm picturing a lot of things. It's reminding me of a combination of many places I've been to in video games. You know what I mean? It reminds me of that area in the Dwarf Commoner story in Dragon Age of all things. The very rundown, where the the castless go sort of idea. I think that was called Dust Town or something like that. It's reminding me of that. It's reminding me of that District movie with, not Tony Jaa, but the District movie with all the parkour and stuff, like super run down and just everything's just like, I don't know about this. So, it's definitely very looking like a pretty dangerous place. I mean, we've seen glimpses of the inside before, and of course with Oma's backstory in the first series, we did get to see glimpses, and we knew that there was no shiny buildings or palaces or anything that didn't have most of the windows, if not all the windows, smashed out of them. So we knew what sort of to expect, but it's still a nice shot to see. I'm not gonna lie, it's still a pretty cool shot to end off the chapter with. Now, there are some disappointing factors. I mentioned there are some disappointing factors with this chapter. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to cover. I guess the fact that, it's part of the disappointment is going into, there is one more thing before the disappointments. Who is the mysterious figure? Who is the mysterious figure that Mikazuchi knows that someone who can be their guide and like follow them anywhere if the pay is right? Now, of course, my first thought is seeing, the sand silhouette and, the cloak and stuff like that. I'm thinking, is Hassad, the man with such a badass design, who, to use a new age term, who jobbed so hard against the bodyguards before the Kengan Annihilation Tournament really even got underway, who jobbed so hard and did so little with such a cool design. The Arabian Whirlwind, I believe, was his epithet, and that was my first thought. I'm thinking, ooh, there's the sand, there he is. What has he been doing in this time skip? Remember, from the ending of Asura all the way through, I don't think we've seen Hassad in the entirety of Omega, and at this point, it's been 4+ years. 4+ years. I think it's almost 5 total, 4.5, because there was a 2-year time skip, a 6-month time skip, and there was a couple years in between Omega and Asura, so I think we're at 4.5, give or take. I could be a little mistaken there. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it's been some time. What has Hassad doing? Maybe Hassad went in to the inside and now lives there or something like that. I doubt he went back to his own country, so there's that possibility. The more likely possibility is it's not a character we know. That this is a character. If it is, it's probably someone you wouldn't even think of. It's not like a fighter that people like or something like that. I'm thinking it's probably a new character. That's the most likely, but it'd be kind of cool to see Hassad and to see if Hassad can really strut his stuff and show off that he's kind of a badass now or something like that. Same with Himura Rio going in. With Himura going in, it's sort of like, okay, wait a minute. Like, a lot of people hate him because basically the way he was treated in Asura, and then going forward he's part of the Four Stooges sort of idea, their little clown group. But then again, within that clown group, who else do we have? Like, that was the easy thing, is he's part of the clown group, but it's like, okay, we also have Okubo, who, I mean, seriously, not some F-tier fighter, and we also have Rahito, who has officially transcended. Might be on the lowest rung of that transcendence, but still achieved it. Confirmed by Kuroki Gensai himself. Looking pretty good. So, I mean, these guys are not, some F-tier, D-tier fighters. So, the clown group sort of climbing the rungs of the ladder, so to speak. So, I think this is also an opportunity. Himura, this is his element. It's the inside. It's where he's from. We might get to showcase off how powerful he really is, considering that apparently one of the best fights of the preliminaries to the Berserker Bowl was his fight against Haro and that kind of idea, and it was like, basically we saw a couple panels of it, but it was off screen. I think people would put more respect on his name had we actually seen the fight. So I'm actually sort of hoping, because once again, just like Hassad, cool design, I like his style. He's got in the epithet of Bruce Lee sort of idea, the Icy Emperor or that kind of idea, the Ice Emperor or whatever. I'm excited. I know a lot of people aren't, but this is where the disappointment comes into play, though, with this chapter. This is where the disappointment comes into play, because 2 big things that I've noticed. 1, we're not growing the group any further. Retsudo even means we can't add anybody more to the group, and this is as far as we're going to be able to take it. We can't add any more. We can't risk it. It'll be too obvious, too this, too that, too much of a distraction. The other people, the inmates, the residents will notice. Inmates, well, it is kind of like a prison, just a do-or-die sort of prison. So the idea there is that Retsudo sort of like, and Retsudo also gives information that he's actually never been to the inside. So we're finally going to see Retsudo show off his stuff, but there's also the possibility that the 7th Fang is in the inside. Once again, I've brought that theory up before. The 7th Fang could be in the inside. Maybe that's the informant, but if that was their informant, I would like to think that Retsudo would be the one to mention, I've got a guy. He would know. He's already sent the other 2, not the 8th Fang, Misasa, but he sent the other 2, forget their names, the other 2 members of the execution force of the bodyguards, who are all top tier. He's already sent them ahead. So they're already in the inside scouting out shit. So we are adding actual more to the group. So at first I was sort of like, really? This many people? And Yamagohan is not going, obviously, for obvious reasons. It just makes sense. But Yamagohan's not going. And then Mikitsuchi Ri, here's the big one. He is not going further than the first part. Because he says, and I don't disagree for the reasons as a character, it's just very disappointing because we've been waiting to see him back in action. And I was hoping that maybe at least one more person was going to join their group, and I was hoping it was going to be Hatsumi. I was really hoping to see Mikitsuchi and Hatsumi together and show off basically showing off all what their training has done and all that stuff, right? I was kind of hoping for that. I truly was. And either way, I mean, it's clearly not going to happen. I mean, maybe Hatsumi's in the inside. Maybe they're entering. There's two forces going in Retsudo's. Like, I couldn't risk, our communications being leaked. So, separately, there's another force already in there consisting of, the two of the Fangs, Agito and Misasa, and Hatsumi, and the fourth Fang. The fourth Fang guy there, too. What is his name? The bodyguard guy, the cooler. Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is that, like, maybe he just has the Fang group and they're going forward, both former and potential Fangs, all and current Fangs, all just, here's the Fang group, and they're just going in doing their own thing, right? Just in case the communications were leaked and we just wanted sort of a trump card up our sleeves and I couldn't even divulge it to you guys, That's possible. I can see Retsudo being that cautious about this place that he would pull off a stunt like that. So we might meet up with another group of 4 or 5 familiar faces and fighters. That I hold out hope for, because Mikazuchi, of course, is only going so far into the inside. He's not going to the more dangerous place. He's going to leave them about halfway through or so. By his own admission, by his own words. The reasoning makes sense. It's just disappointing. But the reasoning does make sense. He says, I took a vow of non-killing to the woman I love. Regardless that we're broken up now and I haven't seen her since, it's implied we've gone our separate ways. I haven't seen her since sort of idea. We know that he was, of course, with Reno. A lot of people didn't like that, apparently, calling him like the simp. And I'm sitting there like, no, he's successfully in love. Simping is what you do when the woman doesn't reciprocate. It's not simping when it's reciprocated. So, but I know a lot of people call him, like, they don't like him because he's too much of a simp and that kind of thing. No, I really like Mikazuchi, and the fact that this is confirming that he's not a simp. He's a man in love and a man of convictions, and he's holding to his vow of not killing because he promised that to the woman he loves. He didn't fall out of love with her. And the fact of the matter is he's sitting there going, well, at the end of the day, we might be broken up right now, but that doesn't mean that my honor, my vow, my pride, my this, my that, my other thing, my convictions don't fluctuate so easily. Just because one thing fell apart doesn't mean that everything doesn't matter anymore, and I still want to hold to that vow. I want to hold to that for her, for my pride, for my love for her, all these reasons. There's a million reasons we could really super analyze that, or you could just look at it on the surface of what it is. Just a man who has made a promise to the woman he loves, and regardless whether they're together or not, he wants to hold to that promise. Respect. 100% there, baby. 100% respect on that one. And he's just straightforward about it. He goes, if I'm going to keep that vow, I can't go in any further. He's not like, I'm scared and I'm not going to do it. He's like, to survive into the harshest spots to the inside, yeah, I got to go all out and people going to die. He's not worried that he's going to die. He's worried I'm going to be massacring a lot of fucking people. And I believe this man could do it. So, yeah, so once again, there's a little bit of disappointment there because not only is the group only this size, though we do have a pretty stellar lineup. It's not a bad lineup, but the group is relatively small, and one of the fan favorite characters, and one of my favorite characters, is going to leave prematurely, assuming everything goes to plan, according to the plan. But, it is what it is there. And that's basically the chapter as a whole. As I said, there's a lot of potential. As I said, the disappointments are, once again, the group is only this size, and Mikazuchi is going to leave early on, and it seems like we're not adding anybody else to the group to replace him even, so it's like, but we're going to see Himuro maybe, redeem himself in the eyes of the community. We're going to see Retsudo finally fight. That's going to be awesome. Oma in full form, greatness, who actually, it's kind of funny, who actually ends up challenging Hayami Masaki to a fight and says, hey, when we're done with this, do you want to fight? A Kengan match, purgatory rules, I don't care, how about we do that to celebrate? And he's like, no, my fighting days, my fighting career is on hold for now, that kind of idea, right? And it's like, alright, I mean, that's fair. That's cool. But still, I'm still so disturbed by the fact that we know that this guy is under that crazy, I forget what the technique, the Chinese name for it or whatever, the like Wu Clan's friggin' becoming that person. I forget what it's called right offhand, but yeah, so he's always going to give me creepy vibes no matter what. Like, I'm just waiting for him to, like, do that whole, I'm all talk, and just wide-eyed and snap, you know, sort of idea at the stupidest thing. Would you like an ice cream sundae? Ice cream, like, ice cream's his trigger word. Sunday's his trigger word, right? I'm just waiting for this man to snap every time he appears in the manga, so, but yeah, either way, Oma seems a little more relaxed about this. He's a little more confident, so is Himura going into the inside. Then Yamagohan's a little nervous and stuff like that and wishes them well. Of course, it makes sense that they are not going to bring in anybody that they need to protect. Koga, they're nobody they actually need to protect, and they can actually go in with just fighters, just a fighting force sort of idea. So there is that. But anyways, the chapter is pretty stellar. Sorry for the longish review, but I think a lot of people are disappointed by the fact that, you know, we didn't get anybody else for this small infiltration group. We knew it was going to be small, but I think people were hoping that maybe 1 or 2 more fighters. I know I was. Certainly people we haven't seen in a while at the very least. So, anyways, maybe Mutaba shows up. As I said, there is always the potential that the execution force might have met up with a couple other of, like, the 7th Fang, who we've never met. You know, Agito could be in there on Matsuda's orders. There could be another force in the inside that they're going to meet up with later or something. A trump card, so to speak. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. That's the review. I like the chapter. I really do. Do you guys like it? Let me know down in the comment section down below. That was chapter 199, To the Inside. Dun dun dun. Hope you guys enjoyed the chapter review. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys back here next time. Have a good one. Sayonara.